a prospecting and automated marketing service like the one that we have. So those are kind of different conversations, because ultimately, you know, having a trained professional who's a sales development coordinator or sales development specialist going in there, making the call, and then or like having an ISA make the call. By the time the agent gets it, that could be a little bit of a different conversation than if the agent made a cold call. So I'm going to kind of approach it from as if the cold call happened first, or like the prospecting call happened first, and then approach it from a different angle to say, okay, what if that call already happened, and just have a discussion kind of around both of those, and hopefully do some role play around that. So this is one of the things that I was reflecting on our conversation yesterday, and I think one of the biggest things is that we're not, or a lot of agents don't consider how different the approach is between an early age and a late age FSBO. Completely from the beginning to all the way to the end, the approach is totally different. So I just want us to write that down. The approach is totally different, and we have to keep that in mind. And today, I think we're only going to have time to talk enough about like the early age, and then late age is usually a little easier because they have their own problems, or their own difficulties in dealing with them, but they're a little bit easier to deal with than an early age.
It comes to a realization.
Yeah.
Right. Maybe I need some help.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So we're going to focus most of our time on the early age. So you got pretty much 5 steps here, and you got where you're kind of like setting the appointment, you're building rapport, you're providing massive value, and you're following up, and then you're listening. You're doing your listing presentation. So if you notice, it didn't start off with doing your listing presentation.
Correct.
It started off with building rapport and qualifying, and it started off with building massive value, and it started off. So, and we'll kind of go back and revisit those. We'll go down to them one-on-ones. If we didn't have time to write them down, we'll go back. But the first 30 seconds is everything on the call. So I know we've talked about that before in the past, but what should that first 30 seconds sound like? Because if you get who's gotten rolled and hung up on the first 30 seconds? I know I have. right? And so the first 30 seconds, in my opinion, is, you know, like you talk with 80-20. Most people, when they're learning the art of prospecting, they don't focus enough on getting the first 30 seconds down, and they don't practice it enough. And like, yeah, you can get really good at objections, you can get really good at asking questions, but if your first 30 seconds aren't good, then it's hard for everything else to go the right way. So I think that's the most important thing is like, don't take for granted the first 30 seconds of the call. Don't take it for granted. Don't take for granted your strategy and how you approach it. And so here's just a couple things. Like I kind of tried to break it down, the script on the screen, as if this is a call that this is like the first call to a FSBO. So it's almost like, you know, it's the first time you've ever reached out to them is kind of how this is broken down here. So, so may I ask you to speak to the homeowner of the property for sale, please? And I think that please is a key word, okay? Sometimes people like saying please, sometimes people don't. Feel it out for yourself. Hi, may I speak with the owner of the home? Sorry, there's a typo there. Owner of the home, I did this late last night. For sale, please. And great, who am I speaking with? Is this, who am I speaking with? Is this John? So you might already have the name. You might not have the name. So how do you get the name early on? Because if my objective is to say their name throughout the pitch and the presentation, I gotta get their name somehow. So sometimes I think one of the big mistakes is that we don't know their name and we go throughout the whole pitch without knowing their name. Would you guys agree? Mm-hmm. Like it's hard to build rapport without knowing somebody's name, right? So it might sound something like this. So yeah, I'm looking to speak with the homeowner of the property for sale. Yeah, this is him. Oh, hi, my name is Isaiah. Who am I speaking with? That simple. That simple. And you can find maybe a less formal way to say it, but fine. You know, yeah. Who am I speaking with? Oh, it's John. Oh, this is John. Okay. Hi, John. Again, my name is Isaiah. I'm with such and such at such and such, and I'm reaching out to you to find out if the home is sold or if it's still available. So, what did I just do? I just identified where I am. Now, there's two different strategies here, okay? One strategy is just to go in and ask if the home is still available, and then a little bit later on, tell them where you're calling from and why you're calling. The other strategy is just to tell them right up front. It works different for everybody, but within the first 30 to 60 seconds, you gotta tell them where you're calling from and why you're calling. Have to, in my opinion, because the rest of the call, they're not even, they're like not even listening. I've heard inside sales associates and agents, they go in and they're so vague. They're too vague, and it's almost, it like breaks trust. And like, even though they're on the phone with you, they don't really, they're like, what is this call about? Like, you instantly, they don't like you, they don't trust you, they think you're being vague, and they get that, here, write this down, they get that call all the time. The old school like tactics of like, let's just, like, there's kind of like two strategies. There's one that went to an extreme where they like hyper qualify, and the conversation goes like this. It's like, yeah, so when are you considering the first question? Yeah, so when are you considering working with an agent? Like, that's like one strategy, the extreme qualification where like there's no rapport, and you're like, yeah, so when do you, in other words, when should I take my time to actually talk to you, right? Mm-hmm. That's one extreme. And then the other extreme is, I'm gonna be so vague, and I'm gonna make you think that I have a buyer when I really don't, and then I'm basically breaking all trust and rapport.
Then there's another one. I'm conducting a survey.
Right.
That's another one.
That's another one. I'm conducting a survey.
I'm conducting a survey for what?
I know, I've heard that script too.
It's stupid.
Yeah, it might work for some people, but I never understood that. I never understood.
Me either.
Like, I'm conducting a survey, okay? Yeah.
Do you wear your pants frontwards or backwards?
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
and what are your credentials for this survey?
But again, that's kind of the vague approach, right? It's like,
it's dishonest.
It's dishonest. And so, rule of thumb is anytime that you ride the line of lying, okay, it's usually not going to work out in your favor in the long term. And even if it does, okay, once in a while, there's still going to be situations where you're compromising your integrity, and also your name, and also the impression that happens in real estate, because there's an impression.
Oh, huge.
Right?
Yeah.
So there's an impression. So I think that's the first and foremost thing. So the next question is, how do you have a conversation that's effective, that you can get in the door and not have to either go to the extreme and hard qualify, or go to the other extreme and be so vague they don't know why you're calling? Would you guys agree that's a pretty, like a really important question? Like, how do you do that? Mm-hmm. And I think most of the time, like when we're on the phone or when we're prospecting, that's why we do those things, is because we feel like we're not going to get the appointment unless we do it this way. So that's kind of like what I want to talk through here the best we can. So one of the things I think is, you go from here. So what do you think they're thinking here after this part? What do you think they're thinking?
Why are you calling me?
Right.
I guess it depends on
What else could they be thinking?
Yeah.
the buyer. Yeah, it depends on like who's calling. Like if it's me calling and I'm like, hi, my name's John, I'm with Advantage U, and I was reaching out, like they might not understand why I'm calling.
They may think you're the buyer.
Right. Versus if he's like, my name's Jamie, I'm with the dream team of EXP Realty, they're gonna know he's an agent, so they're gonna be like, he's trying to get a listing. So I guess that might be harder for on that part of it.
So it could set triggers. I think, and I think that might be it might be an advantage, disadvantage, depending on what angle you're coming from. So, yeah, buyer, right? Why are you calling? And there, so you kind of be prepared for what? What do we call it? A knee jerk, right? You got to be prepared for the knee jerk. So we'll talk about that in a minute, but I think this is an important question, just to be safe, to make sure that they're not listed with an agent, or to make sure that they're Sometimes they got some sort of flat fee service that they're using that you gotta be a little bit careful with to make sure that we can still work with them, depending on the market. Yes?
Yesterday we said opening, benefit, and then the questions.
Mhm.
So is that, it seems like this is going from the opening to the questions.
Yeah, so there's two strategies. You got the one strategy that will go opening to the benefit, or you got another strategy that will go opening, questions, then benefit. And it kind of, you gotta feel it out what works best for you. I went through that part quickly, but just to clarify, some people like to do it either way.
Sometimes I've noticed it.
Go ahead.
Sorry, just, it depends on the call too, like it depends on the person. Sometimes they start asking questions up front and you have to do a benefit before you can ask questions, just to get them to listen. And then some of them, you just kind of like walk right through them and just ask them questions.
Well, I hear when you call, I hear you say, you know, hi, I'm looking to the property owner of blah, 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 blah. My name's John, I'm with a company called Advantage U. We specialize in helping find qualified buyers or whatever you know, like you give the benefit statement.
Mhm.
And then you get into it. So when do you not do that? Do you do that when they give you like a negative response right away and you get like, how does that happen?
If I like ask if they're on the MLS and they start like hounding me about like if you're an agent or whatnot, and I'll just, you know, sometimes I have to give them something to like shut them up for 5 seconds so I can at least talk.
I could be wrong, but I hear you say all that after the benefit statement. Like usually you introduce yourself. My name's John, I'm calling from Advantage U. We specialize in helping attract qualified buyers or whatever you say, that little thing, and then you get into your stuff. And that's why I'm wondering, like, this seems like we're going from, hi, my name's John, is the property still available? And then start asking questions, you know what I mean? So you're saying there's a couple.
I think that statement puts the seller on the defense, because you're helping buyers, not sellers. You need to tell them you help sellers find buyers. But to say we help find qualified buyers, or we have we whatever you
Well,
say.
That's my script.
I understand that, but just listening to it right now, it's not about the seller right now, it's about your buyer.
Well, the script doesn't say it like that. But,
Okay.
Yeah.
So what you'll hear him, he'll ask a couple questions before he gets into the benefit statement. So like, for example, it'll be, yeah, I was looking for the homeowner of the property for sale, 1234 Street. Great, awesome. Are you still selling the home? Are you on the MLS or contact an agent that I should ask my question or point my questions to? Okay, great. Well, let me tell you why I'm calling. So there are a couple questions there before he tells them why they're calling. If you kind of like go back and listen to that, he's got to get those questions out first, and then he'll go into his benefit statement a lot of times.
Okay.
So,
and the seller's thing is in there,
Yeah.
like as
as
far
far as
as
the seller thing is in there.
Yeah, and I would love to hear, because you guys have done it.
Right.
You know, we have helped thousands of sellers all over this country,
Yeah.
you know, sell their home, etc., however you want to say it.
But
But
it's real quick. My company Advantage U is a home seller resource that has put together a professional network to help sellers attract the right qualified buyer and not leave any money. I don't know if I'd like that. No.
don't worry about the money right now, but it just
Yeah.
qualified
usually
I
buyer.
have
say
a hard time
maximize
with,
property
a little
value.
bit with that one. Like, I don't feel like it grabs them enough, but I don't know if we can move it
The
up.
point is that you are asking questions
Yeah.
before you get the benefit.
Yep.
So.
Yep. And so this question is there because I want to know if it was sold or if it's still available. Like, I really do.
Yeah, you need to know.
You need to know.
And you need to know if they're working with an agent.
Yep. And that's why those two
Yes.
questions come out first.
And I don't think those are offensive at all.
No, they're not. Yeah, they're not. And again, this is if it's not, this is not a PVL. This is a brand new, never been talked to, for sale by owner, hot off the press, just came down. So the strategy is a little bit different than if it was a phone verified lead where you already have some information, right, about it. So you're gonna have a little bit of a different strategy, just for clarification. Because my benefit statement might come out at a different place if I already know they've been talked to before,
Mm-hmm.
so. And the first question depends on really, and this is the art science of it, the first question really depends on how that opening went and what they told you, and their tone and their pace and that whole thing. So you're gonna you have an arsenal of questions, right? And you pull from the arsenal of questions, I think, depending on what happened in their tone and if they gave you, what they gave you, what they didn't give you. So would you agree?
I totally, absolutely.
So so like when I train this, guys, like, and I'm in the front of a room of 100 ISAs, they're always like, what question should I ask first? And my question back is, well, what did they say to you?
Yeah.
Right? Like, and it depends. Like, there's no perfect first question. So my go-to is usually, it looks like a nice property, and I'm just curious, what made you want to even put this up on the market in the first place, or what made you want to sell in the first place? Usually that's my first question, because it's vague enough where I'm not prying too much, but I'm also hopefully getting the information that I need, and they don't know why I'm asking it yet. So.
The first one, I feel like if we're calling anybody on Zillow or anything that's already actually listed for sale by owner,
Yeah.
The immediate kickback on that one, it's listed online, because a lot of them say that
Yeah,
about
but
any
you-
question you ask
Which
them
one?
about.
The price.
How much are you asking for?
Yeah,
the
but
property?
you could use that. You could say, I see
Yeah, I see
that
it's
you are
229.
asking,
Is
is
that
that
still
still the
Right,
case?
that's what I'm saying, like, I
Is that
just
still
wanna
the
talk
case?
about it and see best on it, because
Yeah.
when you ask a
Yeah.
lot of for sale by owners, even the
Yeah.
late stage ones about
Yeah.
anything about the property,
Mhm.
and they're kind of one of those kind of like in your
Yeah.
face ones,
Mhm.
they're like, it's all listed on there, it's right there,
Yeah.
read the description, you haven't done your homework
I
on my
personally,
property,
if the price is there, I personally would never ask them that. So
Yeah,
to your
I
point,
usually
I would
do that
never
with
ask them, like,
expireds.
what do you, I wouldn't say, how much you asking for the property. I would say, I see that it says 225.
Yeah, is
Has
that
the
still
price
the
changed,
case?
or is that
Yeah.
still?
And if
still
they
the
say, well,
case?
no, it's lower, well, oh, it's still on
Okay,
Zillow.
what's the new price?
Yeah, yeah,
What's
exactly,
the-
now you got them.
Yeah.
I wanna get something, I forgot it.
Yeah.
It is a good question though for expireds, especially really old expireds, because like, just so you know, the market's a lot different than the last time you listed the property. I mean, if you were to list it again now, what would you look to get out of it?
Yeah, it gives you ammunition, right? Gives you ammunition on where
Usually
you're
makes
going.
them think about it.
Yep. Yep, absolutely. Any questions about this part, James?
No.
Good. So what am I trying to find out with the questions? Time frame and motivation. That's what I'm trying to find out. And this is part of building rapport and qualifying, right? What do we say the first step was? Build rapport and qualify. Now, yeah, I might show a little bit of value or benefit statement before that, but really at the end of the day, that's really my first objective, is to build rapport and qualify. Now, what does qualify mean, Ron? What do we mean by qualify at this phase? Like, for me, it's, are they so far out there that, like, there's no motivation? Is there some motivation? Are they just not telling me? Why, the real reason why, kind of, it's a kind of a soft qualification.
It has to be,
Yeah.
because the questions that you need to ask, you can't ask.
Can't ask. Yeah.
So, yes, it is basically, time frame. Politely, trying to put it into a way where, are you happy about the way the result is right now? Do you have a marketing plan, and is it working?
Yep.
Have you received any offers that you were excited about?
Mhm.
Stuff like that, and, well, I got offers too low. Oh,
Yeah.
okay, well, that's fine, glad to hear it, but at least they're looking at offers, that there could be a time,
Yep.
what's your plan once the house does sell?
Right.
What's your plan?
Right.
Oh, okay, well, do you think it's important to think about the next step, because you could sell it,
Mhm.
whatever, or they can tell you their plan,
Right.
So yeah, the qualifying is, do you wanna sell it, and then basically, it's hard for this stage to know, is it way overpriced, is it not? How would they know? Because they're not doing a CMA, especially if they're not calling around here, somewhere in Vermont, they don't know what the price range is over there.
Yeah.
That's gonna be up to the agent to figure that one out.
Yeah, the way that I kind of think about it is like when you go to get a mortgage, there's kind of like a soft approval. There's like, you're pre-approved, but there might be some things.
A lot of things.
Like, there might be some things there.
The only thing is,
that you
I
gotta
believe what
figure
you
it
tell
out.
me, I'll give you the money.
Yeah, you get what I'm saying? So like, that's kind of what I mean by qualifying
Yeah.
here. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying?
Yeah.
Going recently
So,
through it, I feel
yeah.
like the pre-qualifying means absolutely nothing.
Yeah. Well, it depends, yeah. The
Yeah.
only thing you get in a pre-approval letter is that they have tri-merged their credit. Meaning, they don't know if they're still working, they don't know if they have the money to close, they don't know if they've told them any other lies, but their credit looks like they might give them the money.
And that's
it.
really, at the end of the day, we can't expect much more
No,
out of
you
the first
can't.
call
Yeah.
than this. And I think that's one of the things that for agents, if you haven't worked for sub owners, it's a tougher thing to get over, because there's a lot of noise out there of like, yeah, if they're not ready to sell right now, or they're not considering working with an agent right now, I'm not wasting my time. Like, that's a huge cancer in the industry, is that there's so much business lost and so much. I mean, you want to talk about separating yourself from your competitors, just care. Take a little time to care, take a little time to develop a relationship, take a little time to figure out what they really need and want. Like that's, and like, if you're on our prospecting and marketing platform, I think that's like, should be a light bulb that just goes off to say, like, everything that comes over is not gonna be the lay down that's ready to list right now. It's just not gonna be, it's impossible.
Yeah.
It's impossible to go from a 30-second to a 5-minute phone call to like, yeah, let's do a listing presentation. If you catch the low-hanging fruit where they're ready, right? Yeah, that's the oddball. But 9 out of 10 times, you're gonna run into that early middle stage for sub-A owner, so we gotta be prepared for it. And that starts then to knowing how to handle reflex responses and knee-jerks, right? And so, because it's coming, so we got the questions, right? So we're asking our questions, right? Where are we? We'll go back. We're asking our questions, right? We get a couple out. We know it's coming. We're trying to find. Wait, and here's the thing. Write this down. The knee jerks and reflexive responses are coming. They will be there.
Count on it.
Count on it, right? Be ready for it. It's not going to, like, it's gonna happen.
It's all part of your world.
It's all part of the world, right? So we gotta be prepared.
Make one of those winter is coming memes.
Yeah, the winter is coming. The reflex response is coming.
It's never leaving.
That's really good. So, are you an agent? Do you have a buyer? Why are you calling? Are you trying to get me to list my property? I'm not working with an agent. Bring me a buyer and I will pay you 3%, right? All those fun ones.
And that last statement says, I will work with an agent.
Absolutely.
So, there you go. Perfect.
So we're gonna go through how to.
You're 3% away.
So our goal before we end this session is to build a solid foundation on like feeling so confident in handling reflex response or knee jerk. That's our goal before we leave. So is that cool?
If there was a way to come up with some kind of a response to make a seller realize, you know, I'm willing to work with half the agent. I need, and to be able to convince them, you need the other half, the other 3%.
Yeah.
And there you go. If they're willing to pay 3, what's another 3?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you just think of it that simply.
So, a couple things. What does a for sale by owner really want? If you want to write this down, what do they really want?
The most money for their home and it's sold.
Yeah.
Quick.
Well, what do they want from you? If they think they're talking to anything real estate related, what's the first thing they're going to be talking about? Bring me what? I want a buyer, right? Bring me a buyer. That's really ultimately what it is. Are you an agent? Like really, but at the end of the day, do you have a buyer or not?
But that's a cry for help. I have no buyers.
Yeah.
Bring me a buyer.
Bring me a buyer.
It's a cry for help.
Yeah. Yeah. So how do we deal with that, right? And the next question, is it possible to know if you have a buyer or not without looking at the property or knowing the situation? That's my question.
No.
Without knowing their situation, is it possible to have a buyer?
Let me give you the agent's point of view.
Yeah.
First of all, I have a buyer and they need immediate possession. Are you in the position, Mr. Seller, to move out immediately if I close it in 3 weeks?
Right.
No, I'm trying to build a house. Okay,
Right.
so you need a buyer that will give you the time to close and then rent it back.
Yep.
See, I can get in that conversation with them and immediately have their attention.
Yep.
So, the difficulty is just getting them to talk to the agent.
Yep.
That's the key. So, you focus on the seller and the appointment, not on the property.
Right.
That's where this whole magic comes in, so.
So, let's kind of back this up and let's see if we can go through each one of them. So we'll do it from a perspective of if you're either calling on behalf of an agent or you're calling as the agent. So we'll do as the agent first, because I think it's a little bit more challenging, in my opinion.
Could be.
Could be.
Could be more fun too.
What's that?
Could be more fun.
It is more fun too. So, but, so the great thing about the basis of the script, if you look at it, you shouldn't get that one if you're using this intro, because you're already telling them where you're calling, right? And that's where like my goal is to try to eliminate as many knee jerks as possible. So I'm not gonna create one by not telling them where I'm calling.
Right.
That's just my personal philosophy, right? Because I know it's coming, right? So which is already there. It's, look, hi, my name's Isaiah. I'm calling from EXP Realty. I just better have a good transition.
Mm-hmm.
Once I tell them where I'm calling, I better have a good transition, right? Or because I know what's coming next.
Click.
Right, click.
Another one.
Why are you calling, or are you know, what? Do you have a buyer? Like, you know, it's coming.
Is there,
Yeah.
because I know what you're saying about that, because it's what I've gotten. When
Yeah.
I introduce myself, that's where the response comes. I kind of like this better, where, you know, hey, listen, may I speak to the owner of,
Mhm.
or are you the owner of 123 Main Street?
Mhm.
Yeah, well, great. My name's Jamie Forte. Who am I speaking with?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm reaching out to find out if the home was sold or still available. Like,
Yeah.
you know, going through all that, and
Yeah.
then at some point later saying, well, the reason I'm calling, I'm with EXP
Yeah.
Realty. What do you think about that?
Perfect. You've done nothing wrong.
Yeah, because getting a couple questions and building a little rapport first, I mean, like, who would listen to somebody, right? If we just put ourselves in their shoes,
Right.
that's calling and saying, hi, my name's Isaiah, I'm calling from EXP Realty, and the reason why I'm calling is blah, 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 to your point, yeah.
And that's where that knee jerk's gonna come. You got a
That's why-
buyer? You got a buyer?
Yeah,
Well, I think once you say
Realty.
XYZ Realty,
you're done.
you're done.
You're done.
They're gonna,
Yeah.
that happened to me last week when I called that one guy.
Right.
My name's Jamie Forte, I'm calling with EXP Realty, and he like
Boom.
lambasted me.
Yeah.
He was like,
Did you wanna,
yeah!
did you wanna cry?
You just called me because you want me to sign a contract? I mean, I'm like, whoa.
I would've said, that's part of the reason I'm calling you, but not the whole reason. Can I tell you the rest of it?
Exactly, when do you want me to come out,
Yeah.
when do you want me to come over to fill out the paperwork?
Yeah.
So
Sometimes you gotta have a little fun with
Have
it.
a little fun.
So I see value, honestly, in
Yeah.
asking a few of these questions first, and then if they cut you off and say, well, who are you? Why are you calling? Oh, well, that's a great question.
Let me tell you why.
Let me tell you why I'm calling.
Yeah.
And then tell them,
Absolutely.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I personally like that better.
Yeah, that's best practice, and so, and I'm glad you caught that, because I think if it's the other way, you might get through the door, but there's other ones that just, we'll have no chance.
Right.
Yeah,
So I think everybody else is calling and saying, my name's Mark, I'm calling from XYZ Realty.
Yeah.
And they've been getting call after call after call.
Yes, and they're especially for sub-owners, they're hypersensitive to that.
To it, right.
Yeah.
Plus, I think it's an across-the-board thing, any industry.
Yeah.
Every salesman going back, like, we got away
Yeah.
from this years ago, even
Yeah.
saying that, because you say who you're from right away, boom, boom,
You're
boom,
done.
you're done.
You're
Like,
done.
people have heard it from
Yeah.
every single company out there they talk to.
Yeah.
Past 10 years, it's like the hyper growth of inside sales,
Gotta get away from
you
it.
gotta get away from it. Yeah.
But they gotta know once they go FSBO, they're gonna get calls. They
Mhm.
gotta know they're gonna
How
get
did you get my
prospects.
phone number? Well, I'm looking at Zillow.
Yeah.
It's right there. I love
Right.
those ones. Those ones are hilarious. They get
Yeah.
so mad too. Like,
Yeah.
what are you stalking me? How'd you get my number? Well, ma'am, you posted it online. I don't know what you want me to say. You posted it 3 times in the same paragraph. I have your email too. Is that cool?
So are we on the same page, I think, with the opening?
Yeah.
that there's a couple questions that come out first, right? And another, I've even heard people, Jamie, and even done this myself, if the dialogue goes and they just start talking, you just
Back out.
you just keep asking them a few questions, like, and you don't necessarily have to, like, you know, blurt out your side right away, you know, just kind of feel it out, you know, so, but, like, some of them, you'll ask them one question, they'll answer 42 other ones, and you didn't even tell them why you're calling yet. It's really weird.
Yeah.
And that doesn't happen all the time, but it's more of like a situational thing.
Those
What
ones
was
you
that-
think
what
you're
was that
getting
lady's
to,
name?
And you don't get them.
I forget her name, like they're giving you so much, you're like,
Yeah.
oh, this is, you're like, you instantly, it's just in your head, you're like, oh, this is an appointment. Now I know to be like,
You gotta,
I gotta watch it here,
Yeah.
like that, I'm like, no, like, I have gotta, like, really dial in to the important stuff,
Yes.
because she's, like, the call the other day, she just laundry listed, like, all this stuff, and I'm like, I really was a hard time picking out,
yeah.
which is a great question, I didn't start using
do is
to
say,
avoid.
all right, excuse me, I'm trying to take some notes, so can we slow down, keep going, okay, keep going, I'm trying to take some notes here.
Yeah.
And basically, if they keep going, your appointment's coming up, pal, it's coming, because
Oh, yeah,
he's giving you all the information you
Right.
need.
I live transferred it to him, he live transferred it to Bill, and she was on the phone with Bill for almost 45 minutes, because she just wouldn't stop talking, and Bill couldn't, like, interject at all. He came out and he was like, you were the one that talked to her first? I'm like, yeah, but it was Mark said
That's great. That's funny.
So can we role play it?
Yeah, let's do it. That sounds cool.
So,
Do you want to be Silver?
Yeah,
I'll call Mark. Okay, so, ring.
hello.
Hi.
Or hello. Calling you. Hello?
No, I'm calling you.
No, I mean, I
Oh.
was acting like it
Okay.
because I'm
Yeah.
so used to it. I was
All
like,
right, all right.
hello?
Hi, may I speak to the owner of 123 Main Street, please?
Yeah, that's me.
Okay, great, great. My name is Jamie Forte. Who am I speaking with?
Mark, who is this?
Mark, that's a great question. The reason I'm calling is because I wanted to see if your home is sold or still available.
No, it's not sold yet.
It's not sold yet?
No.
Okay, great. Are you selling it on your own?
Yes.
You are? Okay, great, great. So you're not listed with an agent that I should direct my questions to?
No, I'm not working with an agent.
Okay, great, very good. Well, it seems like a really nice property. I'm just out of curiosity, what made you want to sell it?
We actually want to move down to Florida.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
We have family down there? Or?
Yeah.
You do?
Everybody's kind of, over the past 10 years, slowly, 1 went, 2 went, 3
Wow.
went, now we're going.
I can understand.
Yeah.
That's
I don't
great.
want anything to do with it.
Oh,
I hate
So
the humidity.
So most likely, this is when the knee jerks come.
yeah,
Like, why are you calling?
yeah.
Do you have are you a buyer? Do you have a buyer? So
Yeah.
this is where you got to give him a knee jerk.
Yeah.
Because most likely this is where he's going to.
Well, that's great. So, yeah, Florida's really great.
Yeah, so why are you calling?
Yeah, who am I, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's a great question. My name's Jamie Forte. I'm calling with EXP Realty, and the reason I'm calling is because we actually specialize in helping people like yourself sell their home, those that are trying to sell on their own. And so I was just giving you a call to see, now that's all I got.
Well, yeah.
Well, I'm not gonna list my home, like,
So,
you know, that's.
so yeah,
where
so
would I
let's,
go from there?
yeah, so let's back this up. So I think the first part was great. So like, yeah, so my name's Jamie again, and I'm with EXP Realty. What we do is we actually work with for-selling owners, and our goal is to try to help them to see if we can attract the buyer that they're looking for, and we work with a lot of buyers and sellers in your neighborhood. And I just had a couple quick questions for you, or something along those lines.
Okay.
Like we work with a lot of buyers and sellers, something that's
In your
vague.
area.
In your area.
Or region.
Or region, yeah. You don't want to be too specific,
Mhm.
unless you have a listing in that area.
Do you,
So-
do you like using the terminology for sale by owner? Is that, or do you like to say
Like when
home
you're
sellers?
referring to them?
Yeah,
No,
sellers.
I've
I
gotten
like
away
getting
from
away
that.
from it
Yeah.
because I feel like
For selling.
everyone